Good morning friends, welcome to the point. In today's video we will discuss an important topic related to the income inequality and the distribution of wealth amongst the population. Now that is being depicted by the Lorenz curve and the Gini coefficient. So talking about the Lorenz curve, it is the pictorial representation of income equality and income inequality, whereas the Gini coefficient tells about the degree of income inequality. So we will start. It's a very short topic, but yes, a technical one. The Lorentz curve was developed by Max Lorenzin in 1905 to represent inequality in wealth distribution. Okay, in other words, it's a graphical representation of the distribution of income or wealth. The distribution of income in an economy is represented by the Lorentz curve, and the degree of inequality is measured through Gini coefficient. So friends, as you are aware that it is often said that the majority of the world's wealth is in the hands of hardly 10% of the population of the world. I would again repeat that the majority of the wealth in the world is held by the 10% population of the world, whereas the 90% of the population has to adjust with the only 10% or whatever 20% wealth that is left. So you can just imagine the degree of inequality that is there or that exists in the world. So Lorenz curve, so I'll explain it to you how it is. This shows the y-axis talks about the income and the x-axis denotes the population. Now this is the perfect line of equality, where if you see that 20% of population is getting 20% of wealth, 40% population 40% of wealth, 60% of population 60% of wealth, and likewise. So this shows the perfect line of equality, whereas this is the Lorenz curve, which shows the inequality in distribution of income. How? Let's suppose this 20% of population is just getting 0% or no wealth, the 40% of population hardly 5% of the wealth, 60% of population is getting a chunk that is just or maybe less than 20% or say 15 or 18% of the wealth. And now if you see, this 100% is getting the 100% of wealth. But if you see here, so much of inequality exists. Now the area between the line of equality and Lorenz curve shows the inequality. So the more the curve is bent like this, more inequality tends to exist. The more the Lorenz curve is near to the line of equality, the less inequality exists. I will again repeat, the more Lorenz curve is near the line of equality, it shows that there is less inequality that exists in the world, whereas the more the Lorenz curve is away from the line of equality, the more inequality exists in the world. That is how it is shown. Moving on to the Gini coefficient. Gini coefficient, which is derived from the Lorenz curve only, can be used as an indicator of economic development in the country. Gini coefficient was developed in 1912, whereas Lorenz was developed in 1905. The Gini coefficient measures the degree, it tells the degree of income equality in population, and it varies from 0, that is perfect equality existing, to perfect inequality. So the degree is between 0 to 1. A Gini coefficient of 0 means that everyone has the same income, while a coefficient of 1 represents a single individual receiving all the income. And how do we measure it? We will see this curve. Okay, so this is our Lorenz curve. So this is the graph, x-axis showing the population, this showing the income. Okay, this was the perfect line of equality and this was the Lorenz curve, right? Now the area between the line of equality and Lorenz curve is represented by A. Okay, I will repeat, the area between the Lorenz curve and the line of perfect equality is denoted by A. Now if this is the perfect line of equality, then this shows the perfect line of inequality, because the moment or the more the line moves towards the x-axis, it shows more of inequality in the society. So this is the perfect line of inequality. Now the area that exists between the Lorenz curve, which is this curve, and between the line of perfect inequality will be represented by B. Okay, and the formula for Gini coefficient is a divided by a plus b. Okay, now there are two situations. The first situation where the Lorenz curve lies exactly on the line of equality. Okay, so this is line of equality, and we will assume that the Lorenz curve lies on this. Okay, now if you see, there is perfect equality of income, so the value of a is 0. Why? Because there is no area that exists between line of equality and the Lorenz curve, because Lorenz curve is lying exactly on the line of equality. So a would be 0 divided by, so anything divided by 0 will be 0. So 0 divided by 0 plus b will be 0. So this shows perfect equality. Okay, now moving on to the second situation, like this, where this line of equality, and now we will assume that the Lorenz curve lies on the line of inequality, which is this. Now if you see, there is no b area existing. Why? Because the Lorenz curve is lying exactly on the line of inequality. So this is the line of inequality, and there is no b area. Only now this whole area will be area. As what is a area? A area is the line or the area between line of perfect equality and Lorenz curve is here on the line of perfect inequality. So all of this area will be a. So a divided by a plus b. So there is no b in this case because no area between line of perfect inequality and Lorenz curve. So this will be this don't exist. So a divided by a is equal to 1, which shows that there exists perfect inequality in the society. So that is how the Gini coefficient works, and it has two extreme degrees. That is the perfect equality which exists in this situation and the perfect inequality. Now if someone asks you in MCQ, when is the situation when Gini coefficient happens to be 0? It is when the Lorenz curve lie exactly on the line of equality. And when is the situation where there is perfect inequality? The situation is where the Lorenz curve lies exactly on the line of perfect inequality. I hope it is clear to you by now as to what Lorenz curve is. It is the pictorial representation, and the Gini coefficient tells it in the quantitative way or in the form of degree. And both of them shows the income inequality and the equality. So friends, this is all for the today's video, and thank you so much for your patience listening.